Talk to us about some of the factors behind this improved production from Nigeria. We've been talking about this for quite some time and the goals that the country has actually had.
Hi, Jen. So security is the main factor towards this increase in production. And to contextualize this, let me take you back to 2022. This was a time where production had dropped to 1.1 million barrels a day, and it was being attributed to theft and vandalism. It was a time where oil majors were selling their assets because they could not deal with the losses that was coming from the vandalism that they were experiencing. If you just look at a pipeline like the Trans-Niger pipeline that is able to transport up to 180,000 barrels a day, it had been tapped in 150 different places. And this just means that producers were getting a very small fraction of what they were pumping through these pipelines every single day. So the government has put in place different measures to buffer security in oil producing regions. And also you have the Nigerian National Petroleum Company saying that they've set up command centers where they can track and monitor the operations of different players in real time. But outside of security, there are also other factors that have contributed to this increase in production. For example, local players, they have bought a lot of assets from major oil companies that have left the country, and drilling in the past 4 years has nearly tripled. If you look at Seplat Energy, they say they will double their production to 120,000 barrels a day in the next 6 months after they acquired Exxon Energy. And you have Ondiro PLC that are looking to increase their production to 100,000 barrels a day from 40,000 barrels a day over the next couple of years after they also acquired some major assets from international players.
Yeah, we were speaking to Oganga just a few months ago about this specific thing. Ondiro, when we talk about the impact of some of these increases in production, what do we know about how this could potentially affect the local market there, but then also the global market, because that folds into the broader story about oil that we've been speaking about?
Jen, for Nigeria, this is largely good news, and it's welcome news because more production means they can make more revenue from their exports. And this just means that they will have enough supply of FX. They can buffer their currency. They can also buffer their reserves. But also they can be able to finance their budget. A huge chunk of their budget comes from oil revenues. And so they're able to fund that comfortably without having a really large deficit. Also, you have the government that is targeting 1.5 million barrels and then eventually raising it to 2 million barrels, but then they have to contend with OPEC quotas. Their OPEC quota is 1.5 million. And if you look at Nigeria, just the reasons that I stated, the incentive to produce more is there, particularly if you look at their current financial situation and the economic challenges that they're having to contend with. So they have to have a conversation with OPEC. We've seen Angola have that conversation. It wasn't successful. They chose to leave the cartel. But barely 6 months later, UAE was allowed to produce more. So that could be a window of opportunity for them. But if you look at the global market, Donald Trump is coming into power. His policy, drill, baby, drill. So there are likely to be a surplus of oil in the market. And this is not good news for a country like Nigeria because prices could be affected, and that will affect the inflows that come into the country.
Yeah.